G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in over on the southeast side of the map, playing as the Chinese in the color teal, we've got Blade 55555. And spawning in on the north side of the map, he is back, ladies and gentlemen, playing in the green as the English. It is the one, the only, TheViper. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the day that I've been waiting for a bloody long time. We have got TheViper. He is back. He is preparing for the Red Bull Walla Lol. If you're not familiar with the Red Bull Walla Lol, well, you're probably not familiar with TheViper either, so let me give them a brief introduction. But before I do, a quick word from today's sponsor. It is, of course, Surfshark. I'm partnering up with Surfshark to bring you guys an amazing deal on an amazing VPN. Surfshark protects your data when you're browsing the internet. Everywhere you go, whether it be a website or a Wi-Fi network, your data can be stolen. Surfshark prevents that by locking all your data behind closed doors. Surfshark also allows you to change your virtual location, meaning you can access region-locked content like Netflix or Hulu. So if you're interested in checking out Surfshark, you can use code DRONGO to get 3 months for free and a huge 83% off for a limited time only. So click the link in the description and grab the best VPN deal on the internet. Now, let's get back to the action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and now we get to it. So, spawning in, obviously, Blade 555 on this south side. A little bit of information about him. So, Blade 5555, and I go way back, absolutely way back to Age of Empires 3. We met in 2005 or 2006 initially. We played in the same clan for quite a long time. And so, me and him, we're old school cool. Over on the other side, though, TheViper, he's an absolute titan of Age of Empires. He's been around for absolutely ever, even longer than I've been. This guy's been winning tournaments since before you were probably born. He is an absolute titan in the scene of Age of Empires, specifically in Age of Empires 2, where I guess he's really done most of the most of the hard work. But he's come over to Age of Empires 4 for a little bit. He left, went back to Age of Empires 2, but essentially he's qualified for both Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4 in the Red Bull Walla Lol. So he's going to be focusing on Age of Empires 2 is my understanding, but obviously wants to get practicing a little bit for Age of Empires 4 just so that he doesn't get absolutely schooled when he turns up to the main event. So for anybody who's wondering about Red Bull Walla Lol, well, that is a $300,000 Age of Empires 4 tournament. It's also a $200,000 Age of Empires 2 tournament, so more than $500,000 of prizes on the line. So very important to make sure that, hold on a minute, what have we got here? We've got some interesting villagers moving out. Nice little house positioning here as well for Blade. Looks like he's gone very late with the villagers. Hasn't gone with any kind of survival techniques opening at this point in time. That's an awful lot of villagers here on this gold mine. I'd love to take a look at and see what his build order's up to. Interesting, long distance mining from Blade. I was going to, hold on a minute, Blade. You got to wake yourself up, son. There we go, though. He's woken himself up. Also got some long distance gathering here on the deer. Not as important on the deer. To be short distance gathering. These guys, typically your deer, much better. You know, you don't really mind if it's out here. You don't mind if it's in here. Obviously, if you can get it in here, it's much nicer. Part of the reason why, though, is just simply because the carry capacity on these villages is much higher. So we can see that it's 25 here versus on the sheep, which is only 10. So they've got a much larger capacity size. Let's take a look over at the base of TheViper. Going for a bit of an old school, I say a bit of an old school strategy. I mean, it's something that we do still see in the meta. Typically, we seem to be seeing players rush up a little bit earlier, maybe get a couple of units out, drop that second TC a bit sooner. But not going to be the case here for TheViper today. Just going with the classic old 1,000,000 farms in the Dark Age strategy. Something that was developed by Kanoki and obviously really started to take off. And so I guess you'd probably say a couple months behind the meta. It's going to take some time for Viper to get back into things. I'm curious to see how he goes today. So, to give you guys an idea of the strength of TheViper, he won Genesis, which was the very first tournament for Age of Empires 4. He won that up against the Mister, and he did incredibly well. He went to N4C and hadn't been playing, I guess we could say he hadn't been practicing his best. He'd just been sort of laddering, didn't actually have a practice partner. And he kind of got, I guess the nicest way to say it is stomped. But hold on a minute. We got 5 villagers moving forward right now. It's just going to be a council hall, very forward council hall. Something I'm always careful with council hall placements, and this is an example of it, is that you can't control where your longbows come out of it. So by putting this council hall on the front line, Viper is basically saying, well, you know, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but essentially what can happen is if the Chinese player sees this and looks to utilize this in H2, what happens is that China can then move forward with their forces and just camp this entrance. Because with the Council Hall, even if you rally it back towards your base, the longbow still pops out the front door and has to walk all the way around before it's safely underneath the TC. So what you can do in this position is actually look to come up, stand on the front door, and just camp it. And it means that you're basically locking down two of the archery ranges that your enemy's got. But Blade is now up to the feudal age. Let's take a look and see what he's up to. It seems like he might be going for a bit of a Song dynasty. No real surprise here. Goes for the Imperial Academy first. When it comes to his Barbican, I guess the best spot's probably going to be like right here. He doesn't really have that of a, like, he's got a very nice defensive position here. I guess the other alternative is that you go right here, but I mean, to be fair, you could just wall this off very happily. I guess the other option, the English players, they can come up and potentially, yeah, there we go. We do see the Barbican coming down, but the English player can always just come up and chop through that, and then they can get behind that wall. So you got to be a bit careful, but it's going to be moving out 4 villagers on that Barbican now. We'll check in with the Viper, though, and see how he's doing, because those longbows are starting to make their way across the map. We see a couple of spearmen going to be coming out as well, and walls beginning to come up now. Now, interesting to note, Viper did only go with a single scout opening here. Compare that to Blade, who did a 2 scout opening. So Blade going to have the majority of the sheep. We can see he's got 18 of the sheep. He's going to be super happy with that, but obviously Viper doesn't care too much about sheep. He's already on farms. English having cheaper farms means that they're typically happy to do that farm transition. It's one of the only civilizations, or rather the only civilization in the game that is happy to be going onto farms, because it's actually more efficient for them to do that. You're getting more bang for your buck for your villagers. Now that push coming out for the Viper. He's got 2 villagers in queue at the moment, nothing else. So not really looking to commit super heavy. And this is what we've seen from a lot of the English players recently. They just put out enough damage in the early game just to kind of force a little bit of a response. Typically, you're just going to see 1, 2, 3 spears as well, so that these longbows don't get cleaned up by a single horseman. But there's a nice little spot that he's got in here. He might have to move the lumber camp, and I suspect that is indeed going to be the case now, coming down to this bottom side. Beautiful little walls here as well from Blade. I'm absolutely loving this wall off. Of course, the map is Altai. For anybody who's unfamiliar with this map, this is a ladder map. And Blade's starting to think a bit about going up to the castle age, but just going to be doing it on the 1 TC, not going to be going for that 2nd TC. Obviously, has walled off his stone completely. He says, you know what, we're not interested in the stone. He's got a nice big stone back here. Scout coming in, being a little bit cheeky, pulling away these units, but we don't see any production down for Blade at this point in time, despite going for that early double dynasty, the double landmark dynasty. Now, typically the response for China in this position would be to go for Song dynasty, double TC, and then straight up into the castle age, and look to try and get some of the good old-fashioned, I was going to say the good old-fashioned, whatchamacallits, the good old-fashioned Nest of B. So the Nest of B is going to be very effective against both of these units. You've got your longbow, which is obviously a longer ranged unit. You've got the spearman, which is a melee unit. So you can park a Nest of Bs underneath this town center. It's going to be very difficult to deal with as the English player, especially if there's villagers nearby to repair or to heal up that siege unit. But now Viper back home, looking like he might be thinking about going castle age as well. Not going to be sticking with any sort of intention to go for a 2nd TC in the dark, or in the feudal age rather. We have seen players look to do that. Vortex infamously did a double TC into the White Tower. But now Viper, or rather now Blade rather, going to be going up to the 3rd age. So everything just pretty stock standard at this point in time. The only real difference here is the lack of that 2nd TC, and not something that is super imperative. You don't need to add that 2nd TC. We now see Blade though, but you got to remember, with China, with their Song dynasty, they are training out villagers much faster. It only takes 13 seconds for a Chinese villager compared to the 20 seconds that it takes for Viper. So he's obviously going to be having that 2nd TC coming up shortly. But we now see Palace Guards coming out. This is another great response that China's got to this early aggression. Now, this early aggression, it's not a real aggression. It's just basically designed to force a response. And Blade's done well with his response. He's just given it a little bit of a war. But this could be very, very difficult here for Blade. He's going to be forced off his mill. But fortunately, the Palace Guards are out to save the day. Now, one of the other things Blade's probably going to be looking for is a blacksmith early on. Try and get that +1 ranged armor, and then eventually that +2 ranged armor. Really helpful up against these longbows, but the massive longbows isn't that particularly big, and it looks like Viper is just going to drop one of those bad boys off. Looks like Was that a second one that he lost? He may have lost that to the TC potentially. Maybe he lost a spearman or something. Second Palace Guard. Going to be continuing to harass these longbows. I think, was that a bit of animation cancelling right there? Blade trying his best to get on top of those longbows. But now we've got the age up coming through from the Viper. It's going to be in the back of his base, the King's Palace. And this is, I love this positioning. This makes a lot of sense from the Viper. Just because this landmark, it's not as strong as other landmarks. Now, every landmark has a base health of 5,000 in Age of Empires 4. You can see the Imperial Academy's got 5,000, the Barbican of the Sun's got 5,000, and the Astronomical Clock Tower has got 5,000. But because this landmark, the King's Palace, replaces or is essentially a town center, to keep it balanced, they've actually got it only at 2,500 health. So it's important that you really keep it in the back of your base. At least that's the way I like to think about it. Because in the event that there is aggression, your enemy may look to focus it down as one of the first buildings, and then you're down a TC. Viper now moving into double stable production of knights. Now we only see one knight producing at the moment. So typically what we're going to be seeing is that second one coming up, and then also looking to drop down a monastery shortly. And he's going to be beginning to contest the relics on the map. There are 5 relics out on this map, up for grabs. He's got one very nice and close to his base. So do suspect that one's coming out, but it starts to get a little bit hard to differentiate these colors. You know, we've got teal up against green, and when I saw Viper loaded in as green, I'm like, please don't tell me Blade's teal. And he was teal, of course he's teal. So interesting to see Viper playing as the green and not as the yellow. You know, typically Viper, notorious for loving the yellow. So minimap might get a little bit clouded. Apologies in advance. We do have that +1 ranged armor coming through for Blade 555. There's a few more 5s on that one. I guess I could just call him... No, I could probably just call him Blade, couldn't I? But now those Knights going to be looking to come out. Knights do very effectively up against the Palace Guards. Great little cleanup here as well for Viper. So really nice timing there on that Castle Age. We do see the Monastery has come down now. Beautiful positioning on the Monastery. Nice and towards the front. Now, Viper hasn't scouted out this... Oh, I take that back. He hasn't scouted the Relic, but he has scouted this little thing. And every time you see a relic, you'll see one of these things nearby. So I suspect he's going to know exactly where that relic is. Even if he doesn't see it on the minimap, he'll be able to work it out. Blacksmith has been a little bit sieged down by that scout that we saw. Now, I think that scout did get cleaned up. Indeed, it did. The herdable sheep remains out for the moment, so I guess technically we do still have a secret scout in the base. Viper, always loving a little bit of a secret scout, but this one, it's all above board, fortunately. Scout back here as well. Hold on a minute. Maybe that scout just made it out alive and left the sheep there to scout out. Maybe that's the strategy. But upgrades now coming through for the Viper. We've already seen him research the wheelbarrow upgrade. He's going to be moving towards a horticulture upgrade, which is going to help out his food economy a huge amount. Blade on the other side, though, just looking to match Viper to an extent. He's dropping a second town center down, so this is going to be matching the second town center that Viper's got, the King's Palace. Obviously, Viper only has to pay the age up fee for his, whereas Blade's actually got to pay the full amount. Other thing to note is Blade is starting to move into Lances himself, so he's got a stable coming down. A second stable also going to be coming down. So one of the key differences here between these two civilizations is that Blade's 2 town centers is actually the equivalent of 3 English town centers. So what's the reasoning behind that? Well, think about this, all right? If you've got 3 town centers, you're making 3 villages every 20 seconds. Now, with the town centers for the Chinese, they make a villager every 13 seconds rather than every 20 seconds. So essentially, when it all gets said and done, these 2 town centers are actually equivalent to a little bit more than 3 town centers of a normal civilization. You might be wondering, how is that fair? Well, he paid for the Song Dynasty, so we call it fair. Now Blade gonna get struck here on the gold mine. Wake up, Blade. 2 villagers do go down. Now that town center gonna be looking to fire down. Lance is gonna be looking to charge upon the English Knights. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get there. The Knights managing to make their way out. No upgrades coming through just yet for the Viper. Blade going to be able to force those Knights out. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a little bit of a wall come down here just to prevent it from any more raids. Got another option for a wall up over here and a wall over on this position, but makes it a little bit harder. You know what? Wait, Blade's just said, we're just going to go ahead and wall the entire choke point. It makes it a bit easier. Now, you might be looking at this and saying, well, Blade, why are you walling here? Why not just wall across these forests? Well, part of the reason why is because of the possibility of a chop through. You always got to be so damn careful of those chop throughs. That's when a villager comes up and chops the tree right next to you, and then you can just walk straight through the hole. So you've got to be really careful. It could happen to anybody right now. So yeah, it's always a possibility, and I guess it's just the safer option to do it like this. But now we've got Blade heading up towards this this sacred site. Unfortunately for him, It looks like he's going to be outnumbered, and in addition to that, the Wolf going to get in on the action. Viper, watch out! It's Warwick the Wolf looking to bang down on the Viper. Beautiful micro coming out from the Viper. No surprises here. He might have forgotten a build order or two. He might not be up to date with the meta, but I tell you what, he definitely did not forget how to micro. One of the best in the game when it comes to microing like this, and it looks like he's going to be able to get out alive with that Knight, head back to the pavilion, and might even be able to get in a cheeky little heal. You can see him coming back in. He manages to pick up the first of the Lancers. And now safely behind those walls. Blade going to be thinking about doing something similar. But we've got the first of the transitions coming in for Blade. It's going to be the granary that's dropped down. For anybody who's unfamiliar with the granary, it's a unique mill for the Chinese. It actually buffs it. Whoa, 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 what do we got going on here? You know, I'm busy explaining about the granary, but Viper's over here just building up that APM. You know, the thing... Oh, great, he fixed it up. Viper just loving to show off his moves, doing a classic 360 no torch right there. But so the granary, the way that it works is you've got additive buffs, and essentially the more granaries you have, the more buffs you get. That's the way that it works. So it gives 10%, but it's got a little aura. So you see this little golden circle that flies around it or moves around it. That is that's essentially the aura that has the villagers buffed up. And you can see they've got this little glow on them. That indicates that they are being buffed up. Blade cleaning up some wolves over on the edge of the map. Might potentially be because of the relics, excuse me, right there. We see 2 relics actually picked up for the Viper at this point in time. We'll check and see whether he's got that third one coming in. Indeed he does. So he's picked up 3 out of the 5 so far. Blade going to be looking to pick up 1, but we might have a little bit of trouble in Paradise. Blade heading back towards his walls, but already he should be aware. He should be aware that, oh my lord, isn't he so lucky right now. Blade going to be able to just skate past here. Viper, fortunately, going to be coming out. Now, I'm curious exactly how Blade looks to play this. He might be able to get off a very cheeky Wololo. This could be terrible for the Viper if Blade plays his cards right, because Blade knows about this. So if he stays on the high ground, Viper's not going to see this. Now, I will say, I've actually Wololo'd Viper on this map before. Oh, this could be terrible. Villagers moving forward now. If he distracts him, Wololo... Oh, I don't think he's looking to play with 5 villagers. Gonna, unfortunately, get attacked while they're repairing. The same time towards the base of Viper, it looks like Palace Guard just going to be attacking a crossbowman. Who wins that battle? Wololo on the south side. Wololo, oh lord. You got to be so damn careful. The Viper playing with fire right now. But unfortunately, he doesn't go for a wall delete. He's just going to let the relic fall to the ground. It's probably a little bit safer than trying to get any kind of sneaky wall delete off or anything like that. Now, there was a world where I saw a potential, you know, attack from the front and at the same time a Wololo from the back. You had him in a really good little spot here, Blade. Seconds before disaster, it felt like. Yeah, and these Lancers going to be coming in, trying to get their charges off, and indeed going to be able to save it. But at the same time, Viper putting pressure on at the front side. We see him looking to drop a keep down as well. Also going to be getting that +2 ranged attack. Potentially bolstering any of his crossbows or longbows that coming out onto the field. But now, speaking of crossbows, both players beginning to diversify into crossbows. This is the standard sort of mid-game composition you see in this matchup. Or early opening here, and look at Viper being so aggressive with the Monk out here. Unfortunately, he's outnumbered quite a hefty bit here. Doesn't pull the boar, but with that, it looks like the Monk might be able to stay alive, may be able to sneak around and potentially steal out this relic. Now, keep in mind, there's still another relic up towards the north, so both relics still technically in play for the Viper. We'll have to watch and see whether he's able to work that one out, but so far, early aggression from the Viper looking incredibly good. Nothing has really changed for the Viper at this point in time, and look at this, the Men-at-Arms just watching is like, actually, can the Men-at-Arms see? The Palace Guard can see. Monk going to be moving away, and pressure applied to the front of Blade. Blade definitely thinking, he's scratching his head right now. He's like, hold on a minute, haven't you been away from the keyboard for the last 3 months, Viper? Where are you pulling out all this skill from? This is impressive. Now, one of the things to note about this matchup is the longer it does go on, the better it does get for the English. So as long as Viper can make it through to the Imperial age and look to get those big upgrades, you know the upgrades I'm talking about. I'm talking about your enclosures. For anybody who doesn't know about enclosures, one of the best Imperial upgrades in the game. Each farm enclosure being worked by a villager generates 1 gold every 3.5 seconds. This gives a guaranteed way that the English can rely on that gold generation throughout the late game. It means that even if they don't collect relics, they're going to be okay. But speaking of relic collection, Viper looking to snag away the 4th relic this game. Unfortunately, hasn't walked the Monk back just yet. He's just chilling out for the moment, minding his own business. If Blade's paying attention, he will be able to see that one as it does indeed moonwalk out. Knight numbers looking good. We do see plenty of crossbows. So what does China need to do in this matchup? What's the best way that China can win? If it is a heads-up fight, China will lose. That means that if you're just fighting mono-e-mono, man fight in the middle, you know, you're both smacking each other in the faces, no one's doing anything sneaky, attacking below the belt, typically the English would win. So what China wants to do is they want to try and turn the attention towards the sides of the map. Try and make sure that these little alleyways are under pressure constantly, and then that way that the English player is a little bit less focused, because in the late game, the English player will most likely be looking to drop down a Wingard Palace, which is the Age 4 landmark. Let's see if Viper looks to do that here. He's got a great little spot, probably somewhere around here. There it is. It does indeed get dropped down. He's going for a forward location, something I'm always very, very careful of. You know, we talked about this perfect landmark positioning earlier for the King's Palace. Well, the same goes for the Wingard Palace. Unfortunately for me, I see this as very dangerous. You know, all it really takes from Blade is just a little bit of a push with a bit too much oomph on it, and this Wingard Palace goes down. And as soon as this Wingard Palace goes down, you're going to be losing out all of that trebuchet production. I would have loved it right here at the back, but hey, who am I to tell one of the world's best players exactly, you know, what he should be doing or what he shan't be doing with his time. Speaking of what he should be doing, look at this, a little bit of a sneaky attack coming in over on the east side, looking to isolate some of these food villages, but unfortunately, they're nowhere to be seen. Blade going to be dropping down some stone walls as quickly as possible. He says, yeah, you can take your time, mate. I don't mind. And Blade now beginning that farm transition. A lot of farms here around the town center. He's also got the granary. And we do see the first of the trebuchets making its way onto the field. Now, one of the things that Viper will feel very at home with, but something that might feel a little bit strange to him at first, is these keeps actually cost stone to repair. So when we spot Viper's little villagers going down underneath here, it's going to be draining away his stone. So we can see he's got no villagers on stone. So it might be just a matter of time. And those villagers will be wondering, hold on a minute, where's all the stone we need to repair this keep? But it is like that in Age of Empires 2, so that should at least feel at home for him. And oh no, this is not good for the Viper. He's going to be falling back towards his enemy's walls, and we see the Lancers continuing to come through. Longbows together with the crossbows, looking to hold on. Men-at-Arms do have their armor cladding, but that's not going to mean much up against the crossbows on the backside here for Blade. He's doing a great job of just cutting through all of these units like a hot knife through butter, and it is very difficult for Viper losing that many units. Beautiful little counterplay here from Blade. He knew that the enemy forces had moved up towards this position. He knew Viper had gone up to the 4th age, and as a result, he knew that there would be, you know, not as many units that he would have to deal with, and subsequently pushes out, finds a beautiful little flank there on the backside, and unfortunately for the Viper, he comes up empty-handed in that one. On the south, or on the west side, we see that sacred site being neutralized, or rather the monk being neutralized by Blade, and Blade just going around the keep. So this is one of the things that China obviously is very capable of doing, is going for these counterattacks. Got the Lancers out, and now we see that Wingard Palace being dropped down. He's going to start with the Wingard army, but as I mentioned, it's just something that's become so scary. And look at Blade. He knows exactly what to do. You come straight for this Wingard Palace, and it's going to make it very difficult for your enemy. As soon as that pop out happens, there we go. Let's see if Blade looks to capitalize. He's got a whole bunch of True as well as crossbowmen in here. Fortunately, it looks like the counterweight trebuchet might be able to make it back towards this position. He's going to keep sieging this down, and now Springald coming out. Got a little repair on repair action, repairing the clock tower trebuchet. It manages to survive because it's a clock tower counterweight trebuchet. And look at this Blade pushing right underneath the keep. No sign of boiling oil at this point in time. Does have the Springald emplacement. He's going to look to try and hold this. Villagers managing to jump inside for the moment while the units are there harassing. They're going to be able to pop out, and now Viper going to be able to repair. Never mind insufficient stone. Fortunately, he's got plenty of wood in the bank, so we're not too worried about that, but stone is definitely going to be a big factor here, and it's the same repairing villagers that are going to have to go into stone. The keep goes down, and now Viper looking like he might be in a bit of a tough time. Remember, I spoke about it earlier. The fact that this Wingard Palace is on the front line. Yeah, it's a beautiful landmark. Yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous, but it needs to be in the back of the base. If it's in the front of the base, it is the first thing that's going to go down, and it just absolutely hurts to be losing that. But now Viper in a very difficult spot as Blade continues pushing through. He's standing on top of the production, and Viper going to be trying his best to just make sure all of the units are just immediately coming out and looking to attack the units that are underneath here, but unfortunately doesn't have a lot in queue. 5 longbows, 3 spearmen, and a mixed army from the Wingguards, but look at the reinforcements coming out for Blade. He's just looking to flood out. He doesn't care that his enemy's in Imperial. He'll take you in Castle. He'll do it all right, and indeed he does. Unfortunately, the man-at-arms going to get completely swooped up by those Lancers, and still we see these crossbowmen just being so damn strong. Now, obviously, the crossbowman excels against armored units, but it doesn't even matter at this point. When you've got so many crossbows, you're able to basically just one-shot all the enemy units, and that's exactly what he's doing. Just such a great job. He's got a beautiful little concave in here. Makes it very difficult for the melee units to come in. Blade just looking incredible right now as Viper definitely struggling. He's back on the ladder, but it looks like Blade may have one up on him for this moment. Horseman going to be coming out. It seems like Viper may be running out. No, he's not running out of gold. I don't know why the Horsemen have come out rather than the Lancers, but hold on a minute. Viper is held. He is held. He's held at least for the moment. The military continues to funnel in. Looks like the longbows are going to be what it needs to hold on. Tithe now coming through for him. We also see elite men-at-arms going to be coming through for the Viper. Now, one thing to note, he should have that 4th relic tucked away somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it is. There it is. 5th relic was back here over on the east side of the map. I suspect it's gone over to Blade. There it is. So 4 relics against 1. Viper obviously has the Imperial Age here. With Tithe Barns coming in, that's going to help him out a huge amount. But we've got a forward keep now coming down for Blade. And this could be terrible for the Viper. He may lose the Wingard Palace completely. Massive amount of units here from Blade. He managed to retreat out and save a lot of these units before they did go down. The longbow's obviously a little bit slower than normal infantry. And with that keep going up, we see that the landmark gets absolutely taken out. And now, as a consequence, the Viper doesn't have the Wingard Palace at all in the back of his base. If he'd had this in the back of his base, guess what? He's making trebuchets through that Wingard Palace, and then he can subsequently deal with the keep that's on his front line. But now, because that Wingard Palace is down, he can't make trebuchets. And this is really, you know, it all goes back to that positioning. It was a beautiful positioning here with the King's Palace, but unfortunately, the Wingard Palace was just a little bit too far forward, and now we see those trebuchets getting picked up. Viper going to be looking to try and clear out the crossbow as well as the choke canoe from this position. Lance is going to be falling back, but that keep is just going to be in a beautiful little spot, and Blade, despite being in the Castle Age, really looks to put on the hurt, starting to take out the Siege Workshop. He knows exactly how important it is to take out the enemy Siege Workshop. You take out the enemy Siege, and now all of a sudden they don't have a response to your keep. It means they're going to have to rebuild that Siege Workshop. It means they're going to have to head back to the drawing board when it comes to a response to this keep, because realistically, the Chinese keep, it's one of the best keeps in the game, just simply because it does extra damage. So those hand cannons, they're just going to slice through any of the armor on your enemy units, and it is such a damn good keep. Actually, I take it back. It is the best keep that there is. Oh, maybe with the exception of the Holy Roman Empire keep. I think that's probably the best keep. Just mainly because as soon as you put a relic in that bad boy, that is all she wrote. And now Viper on the back foot. I don't know how he's going to pull this one back. He's sitting on 126 population, but still a little bit of a hold. 91 villagers compared to 126 for Blade. We talked a little bit about that earlier. The fact he's got the super economy there from the Song Dynasty. But still, it looks like the numbers here for the Viper, not terrible. Elite Longbowmen have come out as well. Keep in mind, Men-at-Arms should be out. I did see the Men-at-Arm upgrade, but we don't really see too many coming out for the Viper. We're right on board with him. 6 Men-at-Arms in the queue. Horsemen trying to come in and get a little bit of a surround. Unfortunately, not paying attention, and they do all get taken out. Villagers continuing to fall back. Elite Longbowmen looking to try and take out the Lancers. They do have +2 ranged armor, but the 12 attack on the Longbows is going to be doing a great job of getting through that, managing to net about 6 damage, which is pretty damn decent. Where are those Men-at-Arms? There they are. Get in on that front line. 10 armor. They should be able to hold on against this, and you can see just how tanky they are. As I say that, he gets immediately shot down, the poor guy. Men-at-Arms continuing to run out. A lot of crossbows here. These guys do very effectively against the Men-at-Arms. An extra 9 damage for heavy, but now those Lancers behind enemy lines looking to clean up villages. Viper might be in a little bit of trouble. The population's starting to drop. Blade really putting the pedal to the metal. 185 population for him. We can't be having our first game back like this with the Viper ending this way. Surely not, Blade. Don't do it to him like this. And now those villagers moving up. Is he thinking about another keep? He is indeed thinking about another keep. The key factor here is finding that enemy siege and looking to try and take it down. But obviously the Viper, he's not even thinking about siege at the moment. He's just trying to keep his head above water. And it just seems like he can't. There's so many units coming through from his opponent. Really sticking it to the man. But we do start to see elite horsemen coming in. This could be his way back into the game. Siege workshops do get dropped down. Wouldn't you just love to have that Wingard Palace on the backside right now, just pumping out, you know, every minute having essentially a free trebuchet. That's really what it works out to be. And now a defensive keep going to be coming down for the Viper. But just remember, at this point in time, Blade's got everything he needs to deal with this keep. The keep is going to delay the units from pushing in here, but that is about it. Men-at-Arms just getting sliced up completely. Unfortunately, a little bit of a misrally there from the Viper. And Blade continuing to look strong as he starts taking his enemy's stone outcropping. It never feels good when your enemy is literally taking your stone from under your nose. Double siege workshop now for the Viper. Now he's going to need 2 things out of this. The first one that he's going to need trebuchets to deal with the keeps of his enemy. Second thing he's going to need, he's also going to need springalds to deal with the trebuchets of his enemy. So it makes it very, very difficult for Viper in this position, because we can see he doesn't have a lot of wood in the bank. He's got already quite a run that is coming through here. He does a little bit of market trading there, and that is definitely the wise choice. Now we see a trebuchet response going to be coming out from him, but still, numbers not looking good. In the middle of the map, the sacred site does get taken, and we see the next landmark to go down is going to be the council hall. So Viper at the moment sitting on 2 landmarks remaining. Fortunately, the council hall would have been or was on the front line, but he does have the King's Palace on the backside, and now those trebuchets going to be under attack. Viper trying his best. He looks like he's able to take out one of them, so not a little bad clean up there from him. But now the Viper going to be trying to defend up against these units, and there's just so many damn units. Look at them mauling and hauling their butts all the way through here. But he looks to continue holding for this point in time. He's sitting on 127 population. Trebuchet coming out shortly. No Vils in queue. No real need for him at the moment. The only thing he needs are units just trying to survive. Blade on the other side of the map. Gonna start thinking about going to the Imperial Age. No, don't do it to him like that, Blade. Surely not. Look what he's doing. Oh, this is actually BM. Viper is actually getting BM'd right now. He's putting the Great Wall Gatehouse in the Viper's base. You can't get more BM than this. Look at this. The Great Wall Gatehouse gonna be dropped down. Don't do it to him like this. This is almost as bad as Siege Towers right now. And things aren't looking good for the Viper, but when this happens, I mean, this is just going to be a whole lot worse. For anybody who's unfamiliar with the Great Wall Gatehouse, it's a Chinese landmark that recently got changed. It's the equivalent of 2 Nest of Bees with 10 range. This thing, as soon as it unpacks, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Here we go. Age 4 comes in, and there we go. Viper going to be under a huge attack. We can see the Nest of Bees in placement just firing off down upon the units below it. Now it begins to siege down. How does Viper possibly crack this position? A keep. I can't believe this. Blade 55555. How are you going to do the Viper like this? And how does Viper come back from this? You know, for me, it all seems like the easiest answer. Had you just had that one landmark in the back of your base, it would have mean you've got trebuchets coming out for free. And then those trebuchets can deal with both of these. You're able to push back your enemy trebuchets with your own trebuchets because you've got, you know, the explosive projectiles or whatever it's called. Here we go, shattering projectiles, which is going to be very effective at dealing with that. But Blade now sitting on 200 population. Out of 200 population, we see elite upgrades coming through, going for elite crossbowmen, or rather elite Chukunu, elite knights. And with that, Viper on the defensive, sitting at about 147. I can't believe that Viper is literally getting BM'd like this, and now heading into the Lion's Den, it seems. I think that's what it is, the Lion's Den. It looks like he's going to try his best. Nest of Bees moving up, trying to get some shots off. He focuses down the trebuchet. It looks like there's a bombard out. The bombard who's hiding underneath the trebuchet manages to take out the Nest of Bees on the backside, but we don't see any Mangonel. A Mangonel shot in here would be absolutely supreme. Doesn't seem like it's going to be the case today for the Viper. But the defense holds. The bombard looks good, and he's able to clean up the trebuchets. Okay, hold your breath, ladies and gentlemen. We might actually have a hold on our hands. Villager count at the moment for 89 for the Viper, 134 for his opponent Blade. So things still, I mean, 44 villagers up. It's never a good position to be when your enemy's up that many vills, but it's not terrible. It's not 60 vills. It's not 40 vills. It's possible. And now that keep going to be under pressure. Unfortunately, it does get outranged by the bombard. The bombard, however, does not outrange the Great Wall Gatehouse. It makes it very difficult to deal with bombards. You're typically going to need trebuchets. But now the Viper going to be under pressure. We'll enter into the cinematic mode once again as the Viper tries his best to push in on the Great Wall Gatehouse. Not going to have much luck, and we don't even see it firing off towards any of the buildings. Here we go, though. It's actually firing on the barracks below it. Ideally, you want it firing down on the units. Viper looking to challenge this position. Not going to have much luck as it does indeed once again defend. Viper looking to pull off one of his ungodly holds, and the question is going to be whether he's going to be able to do it or not. Blade just looking to put the pedal to the metal here. Now Viper diving in once again. Nest of Bees in placement, going to be firing off as the Horsemen look to try and take out the trebuchets. They will be successful, but unfortunately the Nest of Bees in placement going to be doing a great job. Viper continuing to push up with the longbows. Watch out, the Nest of Bees. Watch out from the top rope. The Nest of Bees firing into the longbows mass. And now we've got the Nest of Bees defensive with the Great Wall Gatehouse. Viper holding on, but where's the bombard? I don't see the bombard. The bombard has gone. No, the bombard still lives. He lives and he holds on. We've got villagers repairing over on the keep on the east side. Viper is looking to hold on. No, not the Nest of Bees in placement like this. No, don't do it to him. Don't do it to him, Blade. This thing is absolute insanity. I can't believe what I'm witnessing right now. Viper pushing into an enemy who's double his population with a nest of bees in placement. No, from the top rope once again. Once again, the Bombard manages to fall back. He knows that you got to be careful with stuff like this. The second Bombard joining in the party. The numbers starting to seem a little bit low. Longbow standing idle. There we go. They wake themselves up. And Viper continues to hold on. He needs to really pull himself out now. As long as he's able to hold from this position, he should be able to win this game. It's all going to be about holding this position, and Viper just looking to push in upon this nest of bees in placement from the Great Wall Gatehouse. And look at the longbows just dishing out the damage. There comes the nest of bees looking to fire it down. They just take out all the longbows. You can see how good this damn landmark is, and Viper is finding out firsthand about how damn good this landmark is. This is the new China, but now the Bombard's going to be turning their attention towards the Great Wall Gatehouse and look to try and take it out swiftly and quickly. The question's going to be whether he can hold it. Looks like he's actually held. I heard an attack on the other side of the map. I don't know whether that's Viper launching some sort of counterattack, but I don't know how he's managed to do this. Needs to pull villagers to repair this Bombard. Bombard is going to be going down. If he doesn't, first Bombard does go down. Second Bombard going to become the focus of that Great Wall Gatehouse. A huge investment here, unfortunately, and it is going to go down. It's terrible for the Viper. He realizes a little bit too late, and with those Bombards losing their lives, it makes it much harder to push this position. We see the third Bombard now coming out. Unfortunately, the two before it did lose their lives. Was that the mistake right there that the Viper potentially loses the game on? Is this the mistake that Blade 555 needed to get back into this game? And now that Bombard left defenseless. Lance is going to be in charging. They get the kill. 3 Bombards down within the space of 30 seconds. It's not looking good for the Viper. Nest of Bees continuing to move forward. They're looking for those longbows. Let's see if they're able to find it. Indeed, they are. The longbow's going to be going down. Huge losses on the backside for the Viper. A Trebuchet going to be coming out. That's exactly what he needs to deal with this landmark. The Horsemen trying their best to push out on from this position. Trebuchet going to be going down. Viper looking pretty decent. But now the Horseman coming out as well from his opponent, Blade 5555, the Shokunu, as well as the crossbows on the backside, just shredding through the cavalry coming out. And Blade is looking very solid this game, but the question's going to be whether he... Oh no, that is not good. Incendiary arrows. Incendiary arrows going to be able to put the damage through the roof from the Chokunu. Going to give them an extra +6 damage per volley. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. But Viper holding on with the Trebuchet. Bombard going to be coming out. I was going to say Clock Tower Bombard. It is not a Clock Tower Bombard. Needs to fall back with the counterweight. Trebuchet, one more shot. It's going to go down. He does look to fall back, but the Bombard might be shooting too fast. Bombard fortunately fires in another direction. Viper continues to hold. He continues to hold right now. He is holding right now like something out of Lord of the Rings. It is just impressive that he's able to pull this off. Just the infinite spam of units coming in to just try and derail his throne, but Viper holds on. And now we see a second Trebuchet coming out. As long as he's able to deal with the units, the Trebuchet should be able to deal with the Bombard. As long as he's got shattering projectiles. He doesn't have shattering projectiles. It's going to make it a little bit harder to hit this, but still that nest of bees in placement from the Great Wall Gatehouse firing down. I can't believe it. I thought this was BM, but all of a sudden I'm starting to think, hey, this ain't BM. This ain't half bad. This is impressive stuff. Now, one of the things we mentioned earlier was that your keeps take stone to repair, but what doesn't take stone to repair are landmarks. And even though this Great Wall Gatehouse, it's basically a keep, it actually costs wood to repair. So it means that Blade's going to be able to repair this bad boy throughout the game as long as he's got wood in his pocket. Obviously, insufficient wood is a scary thing to think about, but it's not going to matter for Blade, it seems. He's got plenty of wood in the bank, but we'll ride on board with the Viper and see how he's doing. He's looking to open up on this Great Wall Gatehouse, and we can see the Trebuchet is beginning to fire down upon it, exactly what he needs. The numbers starting to look pretty decent for Blade. He's really looking to close out this game, but the question is how is Viper doing? 67 military population versus 74 from Blade. The Horsemen going to get picked off here, but now the Chokunu have come through with their fire arrows. This is where things really get difficult for the Viper because these things shred. I'm not kidding you. These guys hold their ground completely. Looks like he was going in for the Bombard. Bombard does a little bit of cute micro, does go down in the end. Trebuchet's continuing to fire down on that Great Wall Gatehouse. There's no mangonels here. If there was a single mangonel, things might be different. Looks to drop down healing circle. Continues falling back away from the position. A single mangonel would change all of this, but now the Horseman going to be diving in again on that position for the Trebuchet. Will enter into the cinematic mode once again to witness it in all of its glory as the Horsemen begin to dive through with the Chokunu. We're seeing a crazy trash army in this late game. There's no knights, there's no men at arms, there's no need, baby. We got trash for days. and the Chokunu looking so damn strong. The fire arrows just dealing with the enemy longbows so efficiently, and it's really difficult once you get stuck on top of this production, and Viper holding right now with everything that he's got, but it looks like it might be that he's out of gas. He's tried his best to hold this long, but unfortunately, it's going to be the landmarks that are under attack, and we do see that the third landmark has gone down when we weren't looking. Perhaps that great wall gatehouse did indeed take it down, but now that fourth and final landmark going to be the only one that's standing left. And if there's ever been a way to push someone out of the game, it's just simply by killing all their landmarks. You don't need to wait for the GG. You just push him in that direction. We'll enter back out of the cinematic mode as Viper tries his best to hold on, but it's just not looking good. Down to 105 population. He tries to go for incendiaros himself, but you can't help but feel like it might be too little too late. He taps out. He doesn't wait for the last landmark to fall. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute pleasure to welcome back the greatest of all time. It is the Viper. He might not have won this game, but he'll be back and he'll be victorious. That is for sure.